In this video, we will take a quick look at the access modifiers in Java. So we have been using public access modifier. It is in the main method, it is in the main class, the classes that we created, and all the demo classes that we have created, they all are using public keyword in their variable. So this is a public variable, this is a public variable, this is a public method, and this again is a public static method. So public, we know that it is public, means there are no restrictions. We can use a public member, whether it is a variable or a method, from anywhere. From anywhere, I mean within the project that we have created, or maybe if someone is trying to importing our project in the form of jar, then they also can use the public member. So for now, let's just say that public is accessible to all, and any class, any other class in any other package can use it directly. So there are no restrictions. And because we are familiar with the use of public, so we are not going to cover it explicitly. Let's try to understand the private. We start with private. So we can declare a variable private. Constructors can be private. So if we try to write a private constructor, it's a valid Java code. So constructors can be private. Constructors are private, or let's just first see what else can be private. So methods can be private. Here it is. Uh, so this is a private integer variable, which is an instance variable. Constructors can be private, methods can be private. Private means it is private to this class only. Any other class cannot use the private members of this particular class access demo. So if we want to put this restriction, then we can create private members. So if you noticed, as soon as we created a private constructor, it means we cannot use the public default constructor anymore because we created one explicitly. Then we see this error in the main class where we are trying to create an object. It says that access demo has private access in this class. It means because the constructor is private, we cannot call the constructor from outside. So we cannot instantiate this class that is private. If we remove this, it's fine now. So because the default constructor is public, so now we can access it in the main class, which is basically in another package. So if we see the access demo class is in the access sub package and main is in the root package. So these two classes are in different packages. So where can we use and we cannot similarly we cannot call the private method directly. So you see we cannot do this because it is not visible. Private members are not visible outside of the class. So that's how we use the private variables or private members. So let's say if we have a private variable, then how do we initialize that? So we have a couple of ways to do that. Either we create a public constructor, parameterized constructor that accepts an argument. So let's say past value, and this dot value equal to past value. That is one way to set the property. Then if we pass the value 10, then that value will be set as the value attribute. The another way to do the same is to create a public method value, and this method would accept again parameter passed val, for example, and it will use that value to set the value property. So this is one way, or we can do something like set value 20. So that will override, because when we created the object, we set the value 10 via the constructor. Then when we call the object, we are overriding that value. So the last value that we will see on of the value variable will be 20. Now we are able to set the value, but how do we access this variable? So let's say if we have to access this variable, if we need to provide a way so that other classes can get the value of the variable, then again we need to give something public. We need to expose something. In that case, we can create another method, get value, and it will simply return the value variable. So in the main class, we can say something like this dot get value. And if we run, so we see the value 20. So that's how we use private members. In fact, this is a pattern actually related to the encapsulation, where we keep all the variables, all the properties private, and then we provide corresponding getters and setters. So we do not actually write public variables. It's not recommended because it breaks the encapsulation, and any class can change the variable from anywhere. There is no control, so we keep the values private, and we provide the getters and setters so that we have some control what we are setting and what we are returning to the client. Okay, so we saw two access modifiers, public and private. All right, now if we have a private variable, and if we access it, sorry, if we set it via the constructor or via a setter method, the thing is that a private variable can be used within the scope of the same class. So even though this is not visible to any other class, we can still use this value inside this class, access demo. So if we write a dummy method, and if we, let's say, print the value here, then it's allowed, because we are using the private variable from the same class. So private variables or private methods are accessible within the same class, but they are not allowed outside of that class. So this is private. Then there is this default access. By default access, we mean if we do not write any access modifier. So let's say we do this. Then Java provides a default access, which is basically package level access. So let's try to access this value now in the main class. We see if we try to access the value, then we cannot. So if we run the main method, we see this is not public, cannot be accessed from outside package. So even though this is not private, we cannot access it in the main class because it doesn't have any access modifier. So Java provided the default access, which is basically the package level access. It means any other class outside of this package cannot access this property. But if we have another class in the same package, then this particular class should be able to access this property. Let's see that. So let's see, this class has a dummy method public void do work, and in this method we are creating an object of access demo, and we are setting some value 30, for example. because we have a parameterized constructor. Now, if we try to access the value, then you see it is allowed. It is allowed, and we can quickly check it. If we create another object of same package, let's name it object 1 and object 1 dot do work. So what we are doing, we are creating an object of same package, then we are calling do work. When we call the do work, it will create another object of access demo, and this method will try to access the value directly. So because it is allowed, we should see the value 30, because the 30 is the value of this object which is being created in do work. So we need to comment this and run the main method again, and we see the value 30. So we saw that the default variable or the default properties are accessible from the other classes only if they are in the same package. So this is the default access or the package level access. Here the same package is in the same class, sorry, in the same package. That's why we were able to access the value attribute, but main is not in the same package, so it was not allowed when we tried to do that. So we saw three access modifiers. Private means private to the class, not accessible from anywhere else. Public is public to all, accessible to all. We can use it from anywhere. And protected is, sorry, protect, not protected, default. Default is when we don't provide any access modifier that is visible only at the package level. So any other class that is in the same package can use that property, but not another class. There is another keyword protected that we will see later when we cover inheritance. That's it for now. Thank you.